Hello, farmers, and welcome to the sixth annual Harvest Season Game of the Year episode. My name is Al,
And my name is Cody.
And I'm Micah.
and we're here today to talk about cottagecore games. Woo!
Ooh, woo.
Yay!
Micah, it's a woo, not yay.
Yeah, woo!
All right, this
I was trying to add a little spice to it, spice it up a little bit.
uh, spicy. As mentioned, this is going to be our Game of the Year episode for this year. Wild that this is the sixth one. I don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah, I can't believe it's been that long.
Yeah.
You said I didn't even register. I saw the list of the previous ones. You said sixth just now, and it hit me like a truck.
Yeah, you said it, and I was like, no way. This is wild.
We've changed things up this year a little bit compared to previous years. I'm not going to go into that just now, but just bear in mind, listeners, there are some slight changes. Before that, Micah, what have you been up to?
I've been playing a lot of Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D, which I might talk a little bit about the Greenhouse episode.
Mhm.
I love how you say might like we've not just recorded
Might. Maybe you'll have to tune into the Greenhouse episode to find out.
You could cut it. You could cut it out.
No,
Great.
it's fine. It's fine. I love when we break through the barrier and stop pretending like we record the greenhouse later.
You're right.
That is primarily what I've been playing when I have the time to play games. Cody and I were just talking before we started recording about just being busy and not being able to play a whole lot of games this year. So
Mhm.
it's always nice doing a Game of the Year recording because it gives me an excuse to kind of revisit and catch up on things and have an allotted time to play games. But other than that, it's been Dragon Quest 3. And I have also been shiny hunting a lot more in Pokemon, but in older Pokemon games. I've been kind of revisiting and kind of I don't know what the term is, like realigning myself with what I loved about Pokemon and not so much what modern Pokemon has become, I
Mhm.
guess. And there's been a lot of like interesting. I found in the kind of like deeper level shouting community, there's a lot of like really interesting new things that people have found, or like different hunts that people have set up. Like one of the things that I'm working on right now is shiny hunting Kanto starters in the original Gen 1 virtual console games, which is something that you can do, but you have to do it by
Why?
like trading them over
Why?
to a Gen 2 virtual console game to see, or if you have a totally legal copy of the virtual console games, there's a patch that you can apply that will just show you if it's shiny or not, which is very cool.
Hmm.
But there's been a lot of like really neat little things like that I've been kind of experiencing and
You're
linking myself with. And
you're getting back to your roots.
yeah, yep.
Yeah. What's your
I think
current
there's
hunt?
been a lot of, well, yeah, that Gen 1 hunt is my current hunt.
Okay.
I'm doing all four of the start, so like the three original Kanto starters and then Pikachu
Okay.
in the games that they originate in. Um, which has been a little bit complicated to set up, but it has been pretty enjoyable, like learning how things work and how to, like set things up properly. Uh, it's just been, I don't know, it's just been interesting. And I think there's been a lot over the years that has like kind of had me disconnect from Pokemon in specific ways that like kind of, like you said, coming back to my roots has kind of
Yeah.
retaught me what it is that I love so much about creature collecting and, these core games and stuff like that. This, of course, has nothing to do with the fact that, earlier this year they shut down the 3DS internet capabilities, and that maybe possibly in the future Pokemon Bank is going to shut down, and that I am
Yeah.
anxious about the possibility of losing, and I'm not rushing to, it has nothing to
Yeah.
do with the fact that I'm like prepping for the quote unquote end of the world when it comes to
Doomsday prep.
but yeah.
Prepping for something they haven't even announced is going to
Yes.
happen yet.
But
Well,
it's gonna happen though.
That's the glory of anxiety, Al.
Well, yeah, fair.
You can't choose what you get worried about.
Yep.
You just
And then you just over prepare for it. And everyone's
Yep.
like, why did you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I just felt like it was a good idea.
There is no why, there only is.
Yep. That's right. So yeah, that's
Yep, I did
primarily what I've been doing.
Cody, what have you been up to?
I've been doing a PhD. I don't know if y'all know about that. So, I mean, I've just had this is like conference season, and then I've also had a lot of review requests lately. So journals have been like, hey, there's a paper that you're really like is within your like niche. Can you review this since you're a subject matter expert? And I've learned that I am bad at saying no. So I am about to finish that. Like literally after this, I have to write something for a nomination, and then I have to finish a review, and then I will finally be free of my obligations, and then I can actually focus on just my PhD. Yeah, lots of insect identification, lots of that, and then recently started playing Pokemon Pocket, and I during that Venusaur event that happened, I got 3 of the promo Venusaur, but I did not get any of the Jigglypuff or the Haunter. And
Oh no.
am really salty about that. Like I literally opened my game. I was like, oh, I need to do those because I thought today was the last day, like through like 11:59 tonight, but it was yesterday. So
Yeah,
Right.
this is the
Oh,
problem,
no.
Cody. You need to be doing this event all through the event. Otherwise, it's going to... Because I kid you not, 38 packs of that event. 38 packs I opened with no
That means-
Venusaur.
that means you won 38 of
Yes.
the
Correct.
okay
Yeah.
with no
With
Venusaur.
no Venusaur in
That is
38
unbelievable.
packs. The last 3 packs that I could have opened in the game because of the timer without paying gold, the last 3 packs, all Venusaur.
They turned up the Venusaur knob. I mean, maybe that's where I'm at because they opened the cannon. Maybe that's my issue because I did start doing it near the end. And so there was like all Venusaurs.
Yeah, I think it's just because like there were loads of people I know who couldn't get any Greninja and kept getting Venusaur instead. So I don't think it's quite that simple. But yeah, if you want it, like 41 is what I got. 41 packs is what I opened, and that
Wow.
and I needed to get 39 to get one of each. So like yeah, you can't half-heartedly do these events if you want everything. You got to go all in. And the good thing is that like once you've done the first couple of days, if you do all of the use all of the hourglasses in the first couple of days, like just kind of like do everything as quickly as you can, then the most you can do a day is 2 because of the 12-hour timer.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it really quick and easy after the first couple of days. I guess
I mean,
the problem.
I'm not a tryhard though.
Well, I think you're always going to be disappointed in Pocket if that's the case. Then
I'm just always going to be disappointed in myself. Let's be honest. That's never gonna not. Yep.
I got the inverse of that initially. I eventually did get 2 Venusaur, which I was happy with that because that's the max that you can put in a deck is 2 of a card.
Mm-hmm.
But it took a very, very long time, and I got an endless amount of Haunter, like just a ridiculous amount of Haunter, to the point that I thought it was like something either was wrong or I was like
putting the wrong packs or something.
Yeah, like something was going wrong because it was just Haunter all the time. And I went to my work team and I was like, hey, is anybody else just pulling Haunter? And everyone was like, no, I got all of them already. I figured, whatever. And I'm like, what is wrong with my game?
Yeah,
I got hard resetting, and
I got 13 Hunter and 11 Jigglypuff.
Incredible.
Jigglypuff.
Well, one of you save them for me, please.
Yeah,
I need it.
We'll see what trading ends up being like, but yeah,
there's
no got your name on it.
No shortage of Haunters for you when the trading happens.
Sweet. Cool.
Al, what have you been playing?
I Because I'm recording so many, I'm literally recording the last 3 episodes of the year and the first episode next year within a week and a day. So I am specifically going to talk about one game that I haven't talked about on the other episodes, so that I don't get confused about things.
Okay.
So this is not all I've been up to. This is just what you're getting this episode. I have played Sonic Shadow Generations, Sonic X, or to be specific, I've played Shadow Generations. I wasn't playing Sonic Generations because I did enjoy it when I played it the first time, but I don't have time to be replaying games. Come on, that's not my life anymore. So
Cannot relate.
I bought the game to buy to play Shadow Generations, and let me tell you, I still do not like 3D Sonic games, even when it's Shadow you're playing as instead.
Okay, so is it is it Sonic Generations just with like added?
So think of it like Bowser's Fury with Mario. Did you play that?
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's exactly the same as that. You open up the game and it shows you the two things side by side, and you either choose Sonic Generations or you choose Shadow Generations, and they are different games. It's not like you're playing Sonic Generations but with Shadow. No, it's a different story. It's your different character and it's different levels. It's complete, and he has different powers. It's completely different.
And a motorcycle and swears and he has a gun and
exactly. So I keep trying to like 3D Sonic games, and I think part of the problem is I did enjoy Sonic Generations, which did have some 3D levels, and I don't know whether maybe I should play Sonic Generations to check, but I'm not going to. But I wonder whether I liked that despite the 3D levels and I just mostly enjoyed the 2D levels, or whether I actually enjoyed the 3D levels in that game. I can't remember.
Well, the more important question is, are you going to see the movie, or when are you going to see the movie?
Yeah, I've already got tickets.
Okay.
Let me check when I've got them booked for. So I have them booked for the Saturday because I couldn't do the Friday because Rona's out at a concert. But yeah, I've got tickets booked for the Saturday.
So there's some showings on Thursday for me.
Nice.
Where I'm at, but that's also my partner's Christmas holiday party. So, and we always go to like a fancy place and they pay for everything. So I'm going to slam free food in my face, but
the dream.
You're going to eat as much food as you can as quickly as possible and then go to see Sonic?
I don't know if that's going to work. But I will probably see Sonic on Friday. If not the Tuesday after when it's like cheap.
See, I don't care about the price because I have the season pass.
Oh, what?
There's a season pass.
Wait, what?
Theater?
You guys don't have that?
Yeah, at least not that I'm aware of.
I paid £135 and I can go to the cinema as many times as I want it for a year. For the whole year.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah.
What is your big name?
So we have two big cinema chains. One is called Odeon and one is called Cineworld.
Okay, neither
both of them. Yeah. Well, so I think is it Odeon? I think is owned by MGM. Maybe I don't know. They're both owned by big US brands, but they kept a specific name. No, maybe it's not. Oh, it's sorry. It's AMC that Odeon's owned by.
Okay, AMC. I do know.
MGM do not own actual cinemas. they're a film.
They make the movies.
Let's see what.
Literally, all that they offer to us is $15 a year gets you like points, and you don't have to pay fees for if you buy tickets online, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, so I do see. I'm looking now because this is mind blowing to me. I didn't know this concept existed. We have Marcus Theaters it's $10 a month, and you get one movie credit per month, which means you just get a single movie ticket. Yeah, I mean, you're kind of. I mean, if you're seeing one movie a month, you're probably not really. I guess maybe you're saving a little bit of money. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, but
whereas I see
you also get
easily. I'm easily seeing one a week.
Okay, so there is also unused credits rollover. So like if you miss a month, you
Yeah, but that's
say there's
still
nothing right. You're still
that
paying
like
for the
what's
the
you
month,
may unless that's cheaper than a cinema ticket. There's no point.
which I think it is. I think it's $10 a month. I don't know what like a movie ticket is there, but here in the great land of the United States, I think we're in the ballpark of at minimum like $16 to $20 for a movie
Oh my
ticket.
word!
So
For
you are saving some, but you're
for
also
20, I'd be expecting at least IMAX. Like,
no.
No.
You're talking
wild.
standard. You're talking getting your chairs kicked.
oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Regal, which is a cinema place in some parts of the United
yeah,
States,
so that's
has
that's it. Just because you said that, that's the same company that is Cineworld. Technically, it's Cineworld owns Regal, not the other way around for this one.
Okay.
But yeah, they're the same company.
But you said you pay what? 100 and
I paid £135 for the year. So what does that work out at? 135.
That is 170 US dollars. We can
It's
get.
I just looked at what
yeah.
you're-
So that's $14. $14 a month, or £11.
Regal Unlimited pricing for the base tier that only has access to 148 theaters. So 100% not, you're not going to get it where you are, like where most people are going to be, is $260 a year.
For the cheapest.
For the cheapest.
Oh my
And that's about $22 a month. You get unlimited tickets. It says tickets, but I'm assuming it's just like you get a ticket. It's not, that's
Right.
It's probably per person.
I would imagine, yeah.
And then you get 10% off concessions, which is nothing.
Yeah, we get that as well. We get that as well, which is totally just a way to get you to buy more at the cinema, which I obviously do because I'm a sucker, and I know that I'm a sucker.
The next question is, because our ticket prices are so much higher than yours, are your concession prices as high as ours are?
I mean,
because a small popcorn is $5 maybe, and a small soda or small beverage is probably also like $5.
So I feel like they're not too bad. So if I can go into my app just now, because the good thing about the cinema that I go to now, which is like fantastically like 10 minutes drive from my house, which is amazing. Which is, for city people might seem weird, but like, I don't have things 10 minutes away from my house. If I look, I can get, so you said a small popcorn, $5.
Yeah.
Let's see for us. A regular popcorn would be £5. Yeah. But they do like deals that make them cheaper.
They used to do that. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I remember you could get like a meal deal. I don't think they do that anymore.
Yeah, so like me and Rona went to see Wicked, and I never get Rona to the cinema. Like that's the first time she's been to the cinema since, what was that other musical? The one about the kid who kills himself.
You have to be more specific. You have to be more specific.
Dear Evan Hansen. There we go. Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh, sure.
That was
spoiler alert.
That was the last film she saw in the cinema before Wicked. So that's kind of, was that like 2.5 years ago or something like that? So she doesn't come out to the cinema very often, just because she doesn't like going out in the evening, which is fair. We went to see Wicked, and we got 2 hot dogs, a large portion of tater tots, and one large slushy, and that was £17. So it's not cheap, but for me, that felt not terrible.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a lot for that amount of money. Yeah.
Yeah, we really don't get that much. I mean, it's kind of the common concept of going to the theaters and eating anything is that you kind of like just bring your sneak your own stuff
sneak your own. Yeah. 100%.
Oh yeah. And I to be fair, I do that a lot. I don't often buy stuff from the cinema, right?
Which
we were doing that because it was a special occasion type thing. Like, let's go. We went to IMAX because I have to pay more to go to IMAX. It doesn't include IMAX in the bundle. I think I have to pay £5 to upgrade a ticket to IMAX, which I feel is not too bad. But it's not something I do every week, obviously. So we went to IMAX and we paid like stupid amounts for her ticket, and then we got this bundle of food and we just like made an evening of it. So it was fun.
All of this to say, I'm really excited for Sonic 3, and and I didn't realize that Shadow is voiced by Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
I did not know that either.
Wild. That they have Keanu Reeves is
And Idris
Shadow
Elba.
and Idris Elba is Knuckles. It's like
Yeah.
what a combination. Amazing. What other
That's
famous
incredible.
massive actors can they get playing furries?
I guess who's Tails?
I don't know.
I'm gonna Google it. We could probably move on in podcast.
I am also seeing the Sonic movie, but I'm not like a huge Sonic fan. I like Sonic, but I'm not like, mega fan or anything. But my like best friend is absolutely obsessed. So as part of our like Christmas get together, we're going to see the Sonic 3
Nice.
that like opening weekend, which is like not don't typically go to the theater that often anymore. So I'm kind of excited because it's very
Yeah.
rare. Like this is the first time I'll be at the theater, I think, all year.
Tails is Colleen O'Shaughnessy.
Don't know who that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't. She's a voice actor.
Okay.
I know. Right.
Looks
Okay.
like that's what it
So
is.
the only actual voice actor.
Yeah.
Because of course Ben Schwartz is Sonic as well.
Yeah.
I have seen the two previous Sonic movies though, and they're really good. They
I
did a
love
really
those
good job of
movies so much.
them. Yeah, they're great.
So good.
Yeah, I think they are exactly what we need from Sonic films.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I think if you did this, what they've done with Sonic films, if you did it with anything else, it wouldn't work the same.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It works because of what it is, and nobody takes it too seriously.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't like 3D Sonic games, so that's a shame. And maybe I should stop trying. I do still
Yeah.
like 2D Sonic games, so hopefully they make another one of those. But yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Woo.
Woo! All right, so we are
Mhm.
gonna go into our. No, let me just right. I'll explain what's happening first before I try and do a funny segue. So I've changed things up a little bit this year because there have been so many questions about early access games and updates and what counts for Game of the Year. So I decided to make it simpler going forwards. We're going to have 3 awards now. Okay, we're going to have Update of the Year, which is for any game that has previously released outside of early access and now has a content update. We're going to have Early Access, which is for games that are in early access. And then we're going to have Game of the Year, which is for any game that has released their first non-early access version. Is that clear?
Yep.
Yes.
Excellent.
I think it's a great system.
Yep.
We'll see. We've never tried it like this before. We'll see whether it's good or not. So that this episode isn't 3 times as long as the previous ones, we're going to do the nominations a little bit differently for update and early access. So for Game of the Year, we're going to do it the same as we always have, except one slight change, which I'll get to that in a minute. In round robining our nominations, and then we'll decide from what we've done which should be the winner. For update and early access, we've just got a list of all the ones that came out that we could think of, because there's less than 10 of each, so it's a nice list to just list them all and then we can debate. The one other thing is, because of the debacle last year of Coral Island not winning,
got scammed.
I have been forced into
No one is forcing you.
It was suggested by Johnny, and I thought it was a good idea that I sent out a Google form to the other people who have been on the podcast this year. I think this year? I don't know. Some people who have been on the podcast. I sent them a form so they can input as well. So we're going to also read their feedback on what they think should win the awards. And maybe that will stop the co-hosts complaining after.
Nope.
I don't know.
I am convinced.
You can dream, Al.
I'm convinced that the reason that Codey and I are both on this episode with you is because this is the like equivalent of the Coral Island committee jumping me in a back alley for my Game of the Year 2023.
Oh yeah, because it was Kevin last year, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah,
right. Because Codey had played,
and it mostly was down to that Kevin and I hadn't played it.
Exactly. Exactly.
And you were like, "Oh, I really think it should be," and we were all screaming at our podcast players.
Because I think all three of you, you
Yeah.
and Johnny and Bev, all
Yeah.
all said you would have voted for Coral Island.
This is
100%.
this is my formal apology to everyone.
You're allowed to have, like, you provided your input with the knowledge that you had, and I'm here to make sure that you do it the right way this time.
This is why we have the forum. It's so that we can see people, we can see the other co-hosts' opinions before we make a bad decision. And then
we
still
can
make
still
a bad
make
decision.
Yeah, we can still make the bad decision.
No, I'm excited for this one. We'll see how it goes. I've seen the feedback from the other hosts, so I'm interested to see what your guys's are. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yay.
And I'm in it. Goodness me, probably like 2 hours. I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna start off with update of the year, and so I'll read through the nominations for that this year. And hopefully I've not missed any more, because apparently I missed 3 off the list when I sent the form to the other co-hosts. We have Stardew Valley 1.6, Coral Island 1.1, Moonstone Island Cooking Update, Disney Dreamlight Valley A Rift in Time, which, yes, was this year. The whole thing was released this year, which is crazy. I thought some of it released last year. But Fae Farm Skies of Azoria, Dave the Diver DLCs. Those would be Godzilla and can't remember the other one.
Whatever the non-Godzilla one is.
Yeah, what was
the Godzilla one? Is the only one I've paid.
Dredge.
Yeah, I was gonna say
sure. Yeah.
Terra Nil Vita Nova and Wildflowers Magical Creatures.
And here's where Kevin screams at us.
yeah, because Kevin decided not to put anything in the form until literally 5 hours before we started recording this podcast, maybe later than that, I'm not sure, and was the only person to mention Wildflowers. I had completely forgotten the Wildflowers had an update this year. Anyway,
I had looked at the show notes last night too and did not see that on there, so that makes complete sense.
Yeah. So I'll just go through our other hosts' opinions on what should win, and then we can discuss what we think as well. So we have one person says Dave the Diver. We have 2 people saying Stardew outright. One person adding Stardew as one of their 3 that they decided, but not like the ultimate what they think should win. 1 for Wildflowers, 1 for Terra Nil Vita Nova, and then 1 for Disney Dreamlight Valley. I feel like I need to read Johnny's out, because this is a weird year for best update. Coral Island 1.1, a great update, no doubt. It added everything Coral Island enjoyers were asking for, but to reward this with update of the year feels wrong. It should have been 1.0, but it wasn't. Stardew 1.6 added more to a great game, and the updates are good, but also just stop. It's okay for Stardew to be done. I'm ready for it.
Which is maybe I'm wrong in assuming this, but I feel like that's a wild take from Johnny. Is that?
No, I think he would be a proponent of like stop the nostalgia machine.
I think he's worried for Concerned Ape's mental health.
For Concerned Ape's.
Yeah, I think that's also yeah.
I mean, after that interview where he was kind of like, I could just keep going forever. I don't know.
I think that leaves Disney Dreamlight Valley as the one that stands out as best update. They're continuing to add to a great game, bringing in memorable characters in a way that continues to surprise and delight. So that looks, from what I can see, that looks like 2 Stardew votes, 1 Wildflowers, 1 to Disney Dreamlight Valley, and 1 Dave the Diver.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
So I mean, some of these I didn't play. So like I didn't play Moonstone Island.
That list is just going to get longer as we go through the episode.
Right. I feel like it's true. I feel like Fae Farm Skies of Azoria, when we were talking about it on the pod, it did not fix the issues that people wanted in the first one. So I think, in my opinion, we can just strike that off.
I agree. Yeah.
I think the same about Terra Nil. I don't think that added anything really.
No. All right.
And I honestly
option.
Honestly, like I will just like double retweet Johnny's thing, because I agree. Like my go-to was Coral Island 1.1. I really loved it, but it did basically add, like, one of the reasons I loved it is because it added the rest of the story. Mm-hmm. But that should have been in the initial game. Like, why? Like, you can't have an update just be like, oh, adding the things that we didn't had originally, but finished the game. So I don't want to go with that.
I would agree with that. Any objections, Micah, to those three being struck off the list?
I think Coral Island is an incredible game. And
Have you played it
think
yet?
it should win. So okay. I have not, but this is where I'm at with Coral Island. Because if you recall on the previous Game of the Year episode, the reason that I said that I didn't get it yet was because I was waiting for the Switch version, which we all kind of know how that went. So I did eventually just kind of buckle and get it on the Steam Deck. So I do have it now to play on the Steam Deck. Haven't had a chance to play it yet, but I am excited to play it, especially after hearing how much 1.1 kind of made it a 1.0, I guess.
Yeah.
But there's just, I don't know. I'll get into that more later, but I have not played it yet.
Okay. And then Stardew is the same. Like I agree with Johnny, like let it lie. And so for what I've played,
just for the record, I'm not striking Stardew off the list.
Correct. Do not strike Stardew off the list.
I'm not. I don't care what you're saying. I'm not doing it. I'm not letting that happen. Right. We'll get to that.
My top one would be Disney Dreamlight Valley. They really did add a lot of really good characters. I didn't play specifically the Rift in Time, like the paid DLC, because that's the paid one. But I saw all the stuff from it, and I know that it added like a considerable amount to the game and added to the story. And I would like to play it when it becomes free. Fingers crossed that ever happens.
Is it not included in Game Pass?
No, you have to pay. You have to buy the DLC in Game Pass.
I think
it's the same way with Apple Arcade.
Right, that's interesting. Because the whole point of Apple Arcade is everything is free and you never have to pay for anything. But anyway,
you have to pay for Apple Arcade.
Well, okay, yes, but you don't have to pay for anything else. Like it removes in-app purchases from every game and stuff like that. Anyway, I think for the purposes of argument, we will crown it for a game, not for a specific update or something. I was just trying to list up names of updates when I could. So.
If it's just going to be for a game, then it's got to be Coral Island, right? No, I'm kidding.
For a game's update.
I agree, definitely. Coral Island.
Yeah, so that's my 2 cents.
I feel like nobody's arguing for Moonstone Island. Is that correct?
Correct.
I have not played enough of Moonstone Island to be able to confidently to even touch the cooking update. So I don't think that I could.
Yeah, I don't think. I think cooking is a fun thing to add, and it did add a few more spirits, but I don't feel like it added enough to be like major. Like I don't think it stands aside Stardew 1.6 and all of the stuff that Disney Dreamlight Valley added.
Yeah.
I still have yet to play Dave the Diver. I've heard great things about it. It just there's something about it that just just hasn't like clicked with me yet. It hasn't.
You need
me.
To start it. That's why.
Not. I didn't mean that as a pun, but.
You need,
but I will say the Godzilla update enticed me a little bit because I do love my kaiju, but I want to play it, and I've heard nothing but good things about it. My boss is like in love with it and sings its praises all the time. But
Dave the Diver is a fantastic game. The Godzilla DLC in particular is so silly. I love it so much, right? Like any game where you like find Godzilla in a cave underwater and then you end the story by literally controlling Godzilla has my vote.
Oh, so is that your vote then?
That sounds incredible, honestly.
What was that, Cody?
Is that your vote then?
Well, I mean, it would definitely be on the short list.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's definitely my favorite, but I feel like it's I could be convinced of that.
As far as the rest of them, I think, looking at the two current feels like top contenders being Disney Dreamlight Valley and Stardew, I, like Cody, have played Disney Dreamlight Valley base, not the paid DLC portion of it yet. And I did really, really enjoy it. I just... The cost to get to, we kind of talked about this when I was on previously, right around when Disney Dreamlight Valley came out, that I was under the impression that it was cheaper than it was, or that they were doing a like a free to play version of it
Mm-hmm.
when it had originally started to come out. But I feel like the price of Disney Dreamlight Valley has just felt bigger and bigger over the years, and that's great if the amount of content is there, and it's a very like pretty game. It seems like there is plenty of content there,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really like pitting that against Stardew, which I know Stardew has been around for so long. It is. It just keeps going. I do agree. It is okay for Stardew to be done. Again, I love the game, but it is okay. Concerned Ape, you can focus on the Haunted Chocolatier now. It's okay. You can work on other things. It's all right. But the 1.6 update for Stardew is so massive for free content that like it's hard for me to pit it against, something that the total cost of it is like, what are we, pushing $100 at this point?
Mm-hmm.
With like in-app currency and all this stuff. I don't know. Again, I really, really like Disney Dreamlight Valley. And I'm looking forward to playing more of it. I love that they have like kept it up. The community for it seems great.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just that it's such a hard comparison, because it's like massive franchise, massive brand, costs a lot of money. They're still keeping it up and doing a great job with it versus like one guy making stuff for free endlessly. Like,
I get
I don't
that.
know.
Yeah.
It's hard. If I personally had to put it on something, I would put it on Stardew, but I would not be opposed to
I mean, you do have to put
Disney
it. We have
Dreamlight
to.
Valley.
We're here to put it on
Yeah.
something.
Which is very hard for me to do. but yeah, I that would be my nomination, I think, would be Stardew 1.6.
I feel like we're striking Wildflowers off, right?
Sorry, Kevin.
Sorry, Kevin.
I don't think even he was seriously suggesting it.
Yeah.
Because
the first
think
thing
more
in
the
his
representation,
thing is Stardew.
Yeah. So he says Wildflowers because it hasn't won anything yet, and it's amazing, and Wildflowers. But in
Just
reality,
gotta get the Wildflowers representation in this.
But in reality, Terra Nil is the only update I've played, and it's great. So he hasn't even played Wildflowers Magical Creatures.
Mm-hmm.
I think I understand why he would want Wildflowers to win something because he thinks it probably should have won Game of the Year last year. But yeah, I think as an update, I don't think it compares to Stardew 1.6 or to all of the updates that Disney Dreamlight Valley did.
Yep.
So we're down to 3. Stardew 1.6, Disney Dreamlight Valley, and the Dave the Diver DLCs.
I think from what Micah said, I've moved over to Stardew. I didn't play it, but I know literally dozens of people who have. And yeah, I think the amount of effort that this solo human keeps pumping into this game that is so beloved by the community it deserves it.
Say that with more passion.
But that's in the context of like how much effort and how much content there is in something like the Disney Dreamlight Valley DLC. Like,
yeah,
I think it's just the greater context of the amount of effort and money that is put into one versus the other, I suppose.
I think I would also say that as much stuff as there is in the Disney Dreamlight Valley updates over the last year, the fact of the matter is, the day that Stardew 1.6 came on, it became like the 5th highest consecutive players on Steam for like a week. That is,
which is
a wild amount of control that game still has over us.
Yeah, that's, I mean, remarkable for a game as old as it is to be able to update and hit that milestone is incredible. It's just, you don't see that with really anything aside from like, multiplayer online games or something. Like it's impressive.
Yeah, and legitimately, like I can't find the chart, but its all-time peak was miles lower than that, and then the update came out, and then suddenly it was high up. So its all-time peak takes it at 56 place at 56. But I think on the week that it was out, it was top 5, I think. I can't remember because we don't have obviously the historical data for that. But like,
Sure.
yeah, and that was, I think its previous peak was something like 50,000 or something. So it like quadrupled its highest consecutive players for an 8-year-old game. That's mad.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
And it also got me to the point of perfecting the game. Like I had never gotten close to that. And with 1.6, I put so much time into it because of all of the different things that it had and all the different additions it had.
Mm-hmm.
I got to the point where I was like, "Oh, I can complete this game." It's like I created a brand new save, because I hadn't really played it on my Steam Deck. I had done it originally on Switch, and so I brought a brand new save, and I sunk 100 hours into it and completed the game, everything in. Like that's wild, for an 8-year-old game.
Mm-hmm.
So we're giving it to Stardew.
Yep.
Stardew 1.6 update of the year.
Woo!
With honorable mentions for Disney Dreamlight Valley and Dave the Diver.
Specifically Godzilla.
Specifically the Godzilla one. The Dredge one is fun and has more content on it, but the Godzilla one was the one that sucked me in.
You're floored?
I'm floored that Coral Island did not. Going into this, I prepared, reading the list, I prepared that I was just going to fold to Coral Island the second that.
No, I think we all just have
both defended it, but
I think everybody's opinion is the same about Coral Island, is that 1.1 should have been 1.0. And I think if they had this is obviously what matters to them, but if they had waited until the 1.1 update to release 1.0, I reckon it would have been Game of the Year this year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
For us, obviously not for the Game Awards.
For everything.
All right, next we have Early Access Game of the Year. So our nominations for this year are A New Leaf Memories, Chilltown, Farlands, Fields of Mystria, Garden Life, A Cozy Simulator, Go-Go Town, Lightyear Frontier, Of Life and Land, and Ova Magica.
Mm-hmm.
And the opinions from other hosts are one that I think we can probably discount, Over Magica, because it sounds magical. I think this person has not played any early access games this year.
With the shrug emoji.
We have 2 votes for Fields of Mystria, and then we have a paragraph from Johnny. I think the early access game of the year should be demos. Honestly, everything that's come out in early access has been a disappointment. It's become the vehicle for a game with a single cool concept to release, get bits of hype, and then proceed to deliver something exceptionally mid. Meanwhile, there has been a resurgence of demos, games trying to win your business by offering a slice. These games are the ones that have brought me joy this year. Death to early access, long live demos.
Hear, hear.
So that's 2 votes for Fields of Mystria and 1 for demos. Just not any specific demo, just demos in general.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's Fields of Mystria. I think Fields of Mystria is a fantastic start for the game. I think it does. What I really hate about early accesses is when it's like, here's the game, but it's buggy. I much prefer how Fields of Mystery have done it, and how like Ooblets did it and Coral Island did it, which is, here is a very solid base for the game. It feels like it's a complete game, and you just hit roadblocks along the way. I think that's a really good way of doing it. I do kind of agree with Johnny in that this can be a problem in many cases. It's sometimes hard to go back to games when you've started with early access, but I do think that means most people probably just shouldn't play early access games. But, what can you do? I also enjoyed Go-Go Town, but I feel like they have a lot more work to do to make a fully formed game. It also released in it didn't feel buggy sort of aspect, and you had the core bones of the game there, but there's no real narrative there, and it kind of felt a little bit like it fell off quite quickly. So that's why I would vote for Fields of Mystria.
I didn't play any of these, and I kind of agree with Johnny, but also like basically early access is just a way to almost like crowdfund something. So you're like pitching your base ideas to an audience, and then they give you money to like make it what you want it to be, like to develop it, because they believe in what you're doing. So like I see the value of early access, but I also I I think that it's often like abused in that it's just like you said, like release the buggy version or release like a small version to like generate hype or something. Um, so yeah, I mean, I am willing to just like pass or defer my judgment to y'all, like whatever y'all decide, because I just personally, unless there's a super big argument for any one particular thing and we want to discuss the merits of that. But yeah, I
Well,
don't
that
know.
might make things easy because I also not am voting for Fields of Mystery. So-
Yay, Fields of Mystery.
yeah, I agree with what a lot of what Al said that, the core of the game is so solid. It's also just, it does feel so heavily based in like Stardew core that like,
Yeah,
I think that can be seen as a negative sometimes now, where like, it's Stardew with a coat of paint, or like it's Stardew with like a
yeah,
slightly different feature, whatever. But I think there's enough things that stand out in Fields of Mystria to separate it. Like, I don't know, just quest progression, and I just feel like I mean, personally, I love the aesthetic. I like
hmm,
the pixel art is beautiful. The character portraits are fantastic. They're done in that kind of like 90s Bishoujo like anime style, like magical girl, kind of like Sailor Moon era anime. And
hmm,
it just also, everybody in the game is beautiful, which I think, Codey had that issue with Coral Island, but like just like some like normal person, would be cool
yeah,
We
to see.
need ugly representation.
But but yeah, I mean everyone is very, very nice to look at. So uh that I think definitely adds to that kind of like, because it's high fantasy, right? So it has this kind of like magical girl kind of vibe
yeah,
to it that I really like, and I think haven't really seen represented in this genre,
hmm,
at least this well. But as far as the game itself and the mechanics and stuff like that, I think uh you know especially with the recent patch and stuff, I think it's a really, really solid game and a really good case for, or a really good standard for early access, I guess.
Mhm.
Especially in a world where I agree that like maybe more demos, less early access would be a better thing. But
Yeah. I do think that it it set itself up with a lot of potential, which I think
Mhm,
is what you want with an early access game. Um,
mhm.
we will see whether it follows through on that potential or not. Um,
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that because it's done well here means it will win Game of the Year one year. Who knows? We'll see. Um, I also think the whole like, oh, it's just a Stardew clone with a different paint. Like, yeah, that's actually really hard to do, right? Like,
Mhm.
how many games have we played that are Stardew clones that are just not fun?
Yep.
hmm,
Oh yeah,
So
totally.
many. Like, and this is fun, right? And if it just recreates Stardew and adds some extra stuff,
Mhm.
so what? That's fun, right?
Yeah.
Like, I like when people do new things as well, but I also like when a game is fun. And a lot of what I want from these games is easily plowing in tens of hours into it. You
hmm,
Right.
know, I don't. I'm not looking for something that I have to plow in 500 hours to do everything, but I'm also not looking for something that after 10 hours I feel like I've done everything, even in an
Mhm.
early access.
hmm,
And I got to the point where I've basically done everything in this game, but I'm at slightly over 40 hours. So like that feels like pretty decent. And I feel like maybe the game is like a quarter done.
hmm,
So that feels like a good amount of content if they continue that sort of level of things. I'm probably not going to touch it again until it's 1.0 because I'm scared of burning myself out on it before it releases.
Mhm.
yeah.
But yeah, I think it does a good balance for an early access. And if we're going to give an early access game an award, I feel like it should be that.
Yeah,
I think my
I
favorite thing that
agree.
you said there is that some year it might win Game of the Year, and so you're really not saying next year.
Oh, I don't think no, it's not. Like, so when did this first come? Was it July?
I thought it was later than that.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
it was
thought it
just
was later.
Let's have a look. August. Oh, 5th of August. I was pretty close when I said
Yeah,
July.
you were pretty close. Yeah.
That's
But
pretty
you
close.
were wrong. So
And it's so it's been 4 months, and they've had one update, and that one update has mostly been quality of life stuff. There's not really been a huge amount of extra on top of that. If you think after 4 months with one update that it's coming out in the next year, I've got some. Come on, that's not happening. And when have I ever been wrong about this, Cody? Right, always err on the side of it's not coming out next year.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, we gotta in some episode this year we gotta talk about all the games that the Fallen, the ones that were supposed to come out this year that are not.
Yeah, how many times have I said that Snacko is my most anticipated game of the year?
Oh no.
The answer is 4 times. That's how many times.
I'm in that boat.
I suspect next year will be the year.
Okay, we'll say that
But
again.
we'll see.
Someone clip it.
Okay, well, it sounds like this is an easy one then, right? We had 2 other people saying Fields of Mystria, and both me and Micah saying Fields of Mystria. It feels like an overwhelming Fields of Mystria win.
Woo!
We did it.
Congratulations, Fields of Mystria, early access game of the year. There was not a lot of competition.
Congrats. It's like when my mom told me I was her favorite child. I'm like, I'm your only child.
To be fair, with some parents, that's a hard thing to do, be their favorite child, even if you are their only one.
Womp womp. True. You're not wrong.
All right, time for the big one, game of the year. So we have 5 previous winners of game of the year. In 2019, it was Doraemon Story of Seasons. In 2020, it was Summer in Mara. In 2021, it was Spiritfarer.
Woo!
Definitely didn't come out in 2021. In
We don't care.
2022, it was Ooblets. And last year, 2023, it was Mineko's Night Market.
Woo!
/ Coral Island.
With the runner-up, Coral.
Depending on who you talk to.
This year, we have too many games to count released. So I'm going to go through the list of release games, and then, like previous years, we're going to round robin our nominations, and then I will read out the nominations from the other hosts as well, and then we will get into our discussion trying to decide the winner. So here's our long, completely unnecessary list. Amber Isle, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp Complete, Botany Manor, Creatures of Ava, Critter Crops, Distant Bloom, Dreamland Farm, Echoes of the Plum Grove, Ever After Falls, Ever Home, Fabledom, Farmagia, Farming Simulator 25, Garden Trails, Garden Witch Life, Gourdlets, Harvest Days, Harvest Moon, Home Sweet Home, too many H's in that name, Honey Grove, Horticular, Immortal Life, Kamaeru, A Frog Refuge, Little Known Galaxy, Luma Island, Mellowbot, A Last Song, Micah and the Witch's Mountain, which, just for the argument's sake, we have decided that this is not an early access game. I don't care. Tweet at me. I really don't care. Go away.
Especially because we're not checking Twitter anymore.
It is not an early access game. Shut up and go away. Natsumon, 20th Century Summer Kid, Orange Season, Petite Island, Pixel Cross, Story of Seasons, which, yeah, I know it's not a cottagecore game. I don't care. It's Story of Seasons. Plan to Be, Rusty's Retirement, Song of the Prairie, Starstruck Vagabond, The Garden Path, The Last Farmer, The Palace on the Hill, Window Garden, and Web Fishing. Goodness me.
What a list.
Such a list. That list took me 2.5 minutes to read out.
Next year, it'll take 3 minutes to read it.
Well, interestingly, it's not significantly bigger than last year. It is bigger, but by like 3, I think. So we might have plateaued on the number of games released each year, which I really hope we have. In which case, can it start going down as well? That'd be great. Please and thank you.
Now I'm gonna be I'm gonna be Dudley here, being 36, but last year I had 37.
All right, we're going to round robin these nominations. We haven't seen each other's of this ones. People might have sneaked their peeks at the other
I
hosts
did
ones,
not.
but Micah, what's your first nomination?
My personal biggest game of the year for cottagecore games, which I feel like is going to be an uphill battle, so I'm going to get it out of the way right away, is Natsuman 20th Century Kid. I think that it is a fantastic game. It is a sort of reimagining of this series called Boku no Natsuyasumi, which is, like the Shin-chan games that have
Hmm.
been recently
Mhm.
released. This is more closer to the non-collaborative, core of the series, not Shin-chan, Cran Shin-chan branded. Um, but it is a newer take on it. So like the Cran Shin-chan versions of the game, they're two now we're at, um, do feel much more like the core games. They're uh designed in a way where the backdrops are beautiful hand painted. It's kind of static and you're moving around in these static backgrounds that change, but the position, the camera direction is always the same. um and this is more of a 3D. It's 3D first of all, which is like entirely 3D, which is kind of big, but it's also a third person POV, which is new for this series. Um, but I think it is a much needed introduction for people to this series. I think they're really doing a push to get people in the West to appreciate it, and I think that's definitely been seen with the two Shin-chan games, and now this localizing this as well, which I absolutely did not think we were going to get a localization of it. I thought for sure this was a niche enough thing that we were not going to get it localized, but I'm happy that we did. And they did a really great job with it. I had bought it originally on the Japanese eShop when I didn't think it was going to be localized because I was looking for something that was a little bit slower paced, to help with learning Japanese, um, which I've been doing for a long time. And I was disappointed to learn that it was very quickly, the dialogue in it was very fast moving. So it was not, there was
Hmm.
no pausing, there was no like I can take some time and dissect the sentence structure and the characters and stuff. So that was kind of my initial disappointment with it, but when they localized it, obviously that isn't a problem anymore. My interest in it has shifted to more just enjoying the game itself. And it is such a like unique and beautiful way to play a game like this, like a this kind of just living in this cute little town, and you every day you have like your morning breakfast and then your morning stretches, and then you have the day to do whatever you want because you're a kid and it's summer vacation, and you can go climb trees and catch bugs and go fishing and explore. You can meet people in the town and like have conversations with them. A lot of times those wind up turning into like deeper quests that you would otherwise miss if you just decided to do something else that day. And the glory of it, I think, is that it is a digestible game because it's you're kind of on this time limit where you just have the summer vacation. So you just have this these this certain amount of days that you can play through, and then once it's over, it's over. The summer vacation is over, the game is over, but there is so much replayability. So you can complete the game in say, 20 hours maybe, but there's so much replayability for it that you can continue to experience the things that you missed previously. Like, there's a whole subsection that's dedicated specifically to the shrine or to this specific like type of bug, or filling the museum with rare fish or something like that, where you can kind of pick and choose and then go back and do things that you missed. And it's just a very feel good, carefree game that really kind of taps into that childlike wonder that I feel like we don't really get as
Mhm.
much as adults.
Mhm.
Uh,
I
that's my
suspect
case for it. I love it.
I suspect, Micah, this is going to be the Coral Island of this year. In the
For me, person, just me.
I
Yeah.
haven't I haven't played it. And the funny thing is, behind the scenes, we actually planned an episode on this game. But the problem is that we planned it for what 2 weeks after Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home came out. And
Hmm.
then they announced that it was coming out that day, and I was like, "Oh my god, I think we need to cover Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home."
Hmm. Hmm.
And so we just pivoted and did that instead. And of course, if I don't have a podcast to record on a game, I'm probably not going to play it. Um, I do, however, suspect that if I had played it, it wouldn't have been one of my games of the year, and that uh, is purely because I don't like games that are slow.
Mm.
Um,
Hmm.
and that is definitely a me thing. And
Sure.
but yeah, when you were like, oh, I love how every morning you eat your breakfast and you do your morning stretches, and I'm in my brain, I'm going, oh no, I have to. Oh, goodness me, oh, it's just so like, oh no, just let me do the things I want to do. It just like even that tiny thing just stressed me out so much.
I should clarify that those segments are extremely short scripted segments. So they're not
Yeah,
like things that you have to do. It's
Can you pass
basically
them
like
though?
the loadings. Yeah, you can skip any cutscene that you want in the game. So you can skip it. There's just I choose not to because sometimes there's dialogue for certain things that like, you know, you can use to determine what you want to do for the day, or maybe like there's something that you wouldn't
this is the problem. This
know
is the
about,
problem with
you
those
know.
cutscenes, right? Like it's like I want to skip it, or would I feel like I want to skip it, but I can't really skip it? It's just one of
You
those
can't
things where
bring
it's
yourself
like
to
this.
it.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like it's
That
probably it
FOMO.
was like Isabel talking in Animal Crossing. It's like this is pointless and silly, and I don't want to do this. But then she might say something that matters to me, so I have to watch it, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it's just so slow. It's the same reason why, like, as much as I played Animal Crossing, or I still don't know whether I enjoyed that game or not because it is
Mhm.
just so slow, and
Sure.
that's not what I like. Like I speed run farming games. Well, not all of them, but I speed run spring of year one in every farming game.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's like do the bare minimum, get my plants. I want to get to the fun bit. I want to get to the bit where I have money rolling in. That's what I'm there for. And it sounds like this game is just entirely spring one.
Yeah, pretty much.
There is a lot of, there's a lot of content to it, and you can realistically kind of. So there's one of the things that they've added somewhat recently. I can't remember if they've added this in the Shinchan games or if this is new to this one, but there's a time speed. There's like a clock speed setting. So like you can set it to so that the day moves super quick. And that the time and the sun rises and sunsets very quickly. Or you can set it even longer, right? There's like three settings to it. There's a fast day, there's like
Yeah.
normal time, and then there's a long day. So I personally chose the long day because that gives me more time throughout each day to do all of the things that I want to do. Um, but yeah, if you're not, if kind of like moving slow and living your daily life is not something that you enjoy, then probably not for you. But
That provides no dopamine for Al.
It really doesn't, and it's
I would
sad because I
encourage,
feel like I could enjoy that sort of thing, but it's just my brain doesn't let me.
yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
would encourage you to try it at some point if you get the opportunity to, if it's, cheaper. I can't
Well,
remember what it is, maybe $30 USD
yeah,
on the eShop.
Micah, I own the game.
But oh well, yeah. Well then,
this is
you know,
this is my problem.
in that
This is
case,
Locked
my
and loaded.
curse. I own all the games. I just never play them.
yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
it sounds really cute. I think like for me, nostalgia games, especially nostalgia for like the summers of your childhood, it would hit a little too close to home for me. Like, oh man, I miss this. Like I miss just going to my grandma's and playing in the backyard and playing with the ants and like, things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's primarily what it's designed to do, like that the designer Kazayabe of the like Millennium Kitchen is the company that makes all these Boku no Natsu Yasumi games.
Mhm.
He had designed the game with the intention of like, he lives this, high, like fast moving, high stress life in, downtown Tokyo and as a like salary man. And, he yearned for that, the slower days in the Japanese countryside as a kid.
Yeah.
And so that is essentially, he made this to kind of recapture that. And the series to recapture that, not this one specifically, but yeah. And it's just the characters have such like unique, they're just designed so uniquely, like physically and you know personality wise are just very unique. So I would encourage people to try it if it's something that they would, it sounds like something that they would like, but especially if you are an Animal Crossing fan, I think you might like it, which Al clearly is not, and so probably will never play it.
Look, right. I opened the game 3 times to try and play it. And
Animal Crossing or not so
no,
much?
no, Animal Crossing I put stupid amounts of time into despite
okay, all right.
still not knowing whether I'll enjoy it or not. Look, it was 2020. It was like, we don't talk about 2020, right?
Yeah.
No, I opened this game 3 times before they announced Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home release date, and I went, oh, thank goodness. I don't know why. I just couldn't get through even just the loading screen. And I know this sounds so stupid, and I don't know why. And eventually I do need to go back and I do need to properly play it because I can't just like wave it away. There are some games that you just really want to like, even if you never will get there, and I need to try again. I really want to like it in theory.
Well, it sounds like a game that tries to make you be present. And like that can be really hard for people. I mean, like
oh yeah, for sure.
I have this little phone game for self-care and I have to take care of this little bird. It's a game called Finch. And I told the game I wanted to be more present, and it gave me a task to do once a day to eat a meal without distractions. And I hate that. I hate it, but I have to do it. And it's one of those things like, because I hate it, I want to do it, but it makes me be present and makes me think about what I'm eating and maybe like, kind of go over my day instead of constantly distracting myself. And sometimes you got to do that.
I feel super uncomfortable with that concept.
I do like it.
Yeah, I love Finch. So cute.
I think it's great. Yeah, I can understand from everything that you've said about the games that you like, Al, that you are uncomfortable with that concept. But that's definitely what I think Natsuman and the Boku no Natsu Yasumi games are all kind of that.
Yeah.
Definitely with the intention of making you kind of feel a little bit more present. But it's also, it's just so open-ended. You can really do whatever you want day to day. You can do nothing. You can spend your entire, summer vacation just waking up, going fishing every day and going home, and that's it. If that's really what you wanted to do, like you can do the entire game that way. You can do min-max everything that you want to min-max. It's really open-ended in that way, but it definitely is designed with the intention of kind of like you've only got so much time in your summer vacation, so enjoy it and like, savor it in whatever way that feels best to savor it.
Well, we just need to schedule a time again for this episode, and we know I will put in at least 5 hours into it, right?
I would love to talk about it at some point. Further than just,
we need to schedule it for a time they're not going to release a Harvest Moon or a Story season. Simple.
There needs to not be an excuse.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. We need to, because the thing is, right, if there's a clear, the reason why I got out of that was because it was a very clear, this is the alternative. If I've organized an episode, I will do that episode unless something gets in the way, because you know what is the hardest thing to do is deciding on episodes. That is the hardest bit of it. Codey knows this because they're in a chat with me in Slack, and I feel like every week we have a discussion of what are we doing, right? Because deciding on 52 episode topics a year is really difficult. And so if we have decided on one and it's going to happen, right? Because but the problem is it was just the absolute perfect timing, because we knew it was coming at some point, but we didn't know when it was coming. And I was kind of expecting it to come later because they'd shown us literally nothing about the game. But then they announced it and it was like, 2 weeks after or 2 weeks before we were planning on recording. And I'm like, that's just enough time for us to play this game enough for the episode.
Right.
And it's like, it's so hard for us to organize specific episodes. And it's like, anyway, it doesn't matter. That's way too inside baseball. Great. Thank you for your first nomination. Codey, what's yours?
That's a great question. My first one is Window Garden. So this is the game on the iOS where you have these little plants, and you're basically like at a window and you grow the plants across days. You have to make sure you water each plant every day, give them the amount of suns that they want. There's a couple little mini games. And I really loved this game, but I did hit that point where like I forgot about it for a couple days because ADHD, and then everything died.
What's that?
And then everything died. That classic you're like, oh yeah, I need to check on my plants, and then 5 days later like you're like, oh yeah, I remember this morning reminding myself I need to check on my plants, and it was really 5 days ago. Yeah.
This is why for my real life plants, I have an app that notifies me every day if I need to do something for them.
I was gonna say, at least this is like the digital. They're perishing instead of actual plants.
Yeah, so I mean, my actual plants, like, they're pretty front and center in my living room, and so if they start dying, I can like very clearly see. Especially because I also have like idiot-proof plants, like pothos, where the second they start looking droopy, you just throw water at them and then they're happy the next day again. Anything that's like fidgety, not going to survive in my house. But yeah, so that was my only real frustration with Window Garden. And then also like you have all these plants, and you keep wanting to get the new types of plants. And then sometimes the game will give you like a bonus plant. So you'll have like 2 strawberry plants or whatever. And then it's just upkeep simulator. Like every day you have to log on and you suddenly have to take care of like 100 things. I do think you were able to like put some things. Oh, you could put them in like storage, but then they're not. I wanted to look at like a cacophony of plants. And I just would have liked if there was a certain point where I didn't have to take care of them anymore. They kind of just took care of themselves. Like once you hit a certain level. But I don't know. But that was a game that I played this year that I did really enjoy, and that I would recommend. So that's mine.
Cool. My first one is, I was struggling to get a third game. Because apparently most of the games that I played this year were not 1.0 releases. They were early access or updates.
Yeah.
So my first suggestion is not a real suggestion, and that is Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home. This is not the game of the year, right? I just want to make it clear, this is not the game of the year.
It's an honorable mention from you.
What I do think is that it is the closest we have got to a good Harvest Moon game since the split. And that is something to be commended, even if that is a very low bar. I think it is so close to being good, really good. I think they've got a lot of the bones there now. And honestly, if I think this game was on Switch, it maybe would have been one of my games of the year. But the not being on Switch and Steam and not having controller support and all those little things that we talked about in the episode that really annoy me about it just mean it's just not quite there. But it's like I really want it to be. Can you just be good already? You're so close to it. We have been doing this for 6 years now on this podcast. No, what, nearly 7 years? Nearly 7 years now we've been doing that. No, 6 years. I'm confused. What is time? Nearly 6 years we've been doing this for. And you're so close. You've gone from what on earth are you doing to almost good, but just frustratingly close. So I'm more nominating it as a, can you just hurry up? Because actually you could be there. You could be the farming game of the year if you just did those last few things. Come on.
Yeah, I agree. I want to see them succeed. I want to see them make a good Harvest Moon. Obviously, I had some very strong opinions about this one, primarily the user experience more than like the progression of the game or anything like that. I mean, it's just simple things like controller support or cloud saves or, things that you would come to expect for especially like a mobile game. And, coupled with the $18 price tag for a mobile game with like no other option for, I don't know. It was a hard one to watch turn out the way that it did, and I'm hoping that something changes. Has there been any like update to it or anything? Or are they just kind of done with it?
I don't think so. Well, so I mean, we talked about this in the episode. I think this is coming to consoles. I think that's what the next thing is happening. Yeah. I think they're working on porting it to consoles and Steam. And
it's just so interesting that it's been so long and we haven't seen anything yet.
Well, it's been 4 months, right? That's not actually that long a time. Like if you look at,
has it?
Yeah, it was August.
Oh,
it was late August, so maybe 3 months, 3.5 months.
Yeah,
but like that's not a long time. And
no, it's really
if you think about, say, like Hello Kitty Island Adventure, there will have been 3 years between it coming out on Apple Arcade and coming out on Switch.
It's been 3. I can't. Holy
no,
cow.
2 years. Okay. Sorry, 2 years. No, 2 years. It will have, when it comes out, it will have been 2 years. Sorry, not 3 years. 2 years. So I wouldn't be surprised if we heard something about it next year. But yeah, sure. What I suspect is they're porting it to Steam and Switch, and as part of that, I think, or I hope, that they will add quality of life features to that, and they will backport them to the iOS and Android version. That is my current theory as to why we've not. Because you would think if they were just working on that, you would expect an update at this point, because like most of the complaints about these quality of life improvements, right? But if they're working on a port at the same time, they'll be incorporating that into it and then backporting them, I think.
Yeah.
Probably so they release at the same time, my theory. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, I really want it to be good. Come on, you're so close. Micah, you're number 2.
Just to follow up quick, I did play Window Garden, Codey.
Okay. Yeah.
I do like it. I like the premise of it. I like the concept.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed in not being able to, unless there is a way and I don't know how, but not being able to like pay to get rid of ads or something like that. That kind of, the ads kind of and probably no fault to the developer, because I don't know what goes into picking what ads you get and what ads you don't get, like that run on your app. But my first experiences with it were really like, I was enjoying it. It was really kind of cute. I pressed something to claim something, and I got hit with the most unbelievable ad I think I've ever experienced, which was someone like, the like fake streamer kind of like play a game ad. But the first line was, "Oh, my mom is dead. Oh, my dad's also dead." And it was like, I think it was some like superhero simulator thing where it's like that they're kind of doing a like, oh, it's Batman without really saying it's Batman, But like just the way that it took me out completely of the like, I'm cozy, I'm having a nice time, I'm watering my plants, I'm collecting my sunshine, and then this guy screaming in my ear, "My mom's dead, my dad's dead." It just kind of took me out of it a little bit. But I would love the ability to for games like that to be able to just pay like a flat, like I would
Mm-hmm.
rather pay the $20 that Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home made me pay to even try the game, to even touch the game. I
You
would
mean
rather pay
twice?
that to yeah, well, but that's either here or there.
If you
To
want to hear that story, tune into our Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home episode. Boy, was it a
Woohoo!
story.
but I would rather that be the fee to like disable ads on something like that, or like,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I don't know. That's just my little gripe about it. My second nomination for Game of the Year is uh something that has been talked about on this podcast, Rusty's retirement,
Ah.
which
Yay!
is just such a unique idea and cute, and it's little retired robot uh plant running a farm and generating biofuel and stuff that sits on the bottom of your monitor while you work. And I not always, but I tend to have it up underneath my Discord window on the monitor that I use Discord on, and it just kind of runs. It's really nice to, if something stressful is going on, to look over and see all my little old rusty retired robots kind of
Mm-hmm.
bopping around on my little farm and planting stuff. There's so many aspects to it too that feel like as an idle game made it feel really not just like, set it and forget it kind of like
Yeah.
there's the progression made me really want to stick with it. And I do like too that you have the option to set it to like focus mode. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
that's a recent addition or not, or if that was in the base
I
game,
think it
but
was in the base game because I think I wouldn't have played it if they didn't have that. Let's be honest.
but the game has a focus mode that basically just like extends the time that everything takes to
Mhm.
develop on your farm so that you're not just constantly checking everything, which I have found myself doing, and I've had
Mm-hmm.
to kind of shift to that mode because I will get really like distracted by, okay, I gotta plant the stuff, and this is what I need to plant in order to unlock this next crop, and this is where I want to place my next uh house or whatever. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just, they also recently had a little Christmas update that lets you put, like a holiday update that lets you put candy canes and trees and stuff on your plot, on your little under
Yeah.
under your Discord land that you have.
And he has a
uh
little Santa hat on, doesn't
yeah, he's
he?
got a little Santa hat, and he
It's so
kind of
cute.
kind of bops back and forth with him as he moves around. It's very cute. I really,
Mhm.
really love the game. It was such a like neat surprise to me because I it was, what is it, like $5 or something? It's such a low
Yeah.
price,
Yeah.
and it's not something that I was fully aware of, it didn't like have the same level of coverage, I think, that like wider coverage that something like Fields of Mystery had or something like that. But
Hmm.
it's just such a good game.
It kind of came out of nowhere, yeah, for sure.
And I think it's a good contender too because it has already started to inspire more. It's got that like the Stardew sauce of being the baseline for people to start making new idle sims that can
Yep.
sit on the bottom of your monitor or the side of your monitor or whatever and run while you do other things.
There are so many of them now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's wild how that is just like, because I think, yeah, I don't have this on my list because one, I've not played it, which is mainly because I work on a client machine. Like I'm a consultant. I work for clients, so I use their machine, and I'm not exactly installing Rusty's retirement on a client machine. But also because I just don't think it works again for my brain. I think I would end up in the situation where you found yourself but unable to turn on that setting.
Mhm.
Like I would just be like focusing on the game, and I just
Sure.
don't think that would work for me. Because I would turn on the focus mode and I'd just be like, now it's just boring, right? Like we're back to that problem of me wanting games to be faster. Like I'm gaming or I'm not.
You're a game guzzler.
But what I am, and I'm totally fine with that. Like that's how I like to play games. That's just how life is, and you just got to accept
totally fine. Yeah.
Yep.
But I think that I love what it has done, even if I don't want it myself. Right? I think it's impressive how it's gone from like, this is not a thing I'd thought of. And then they announced it and I was like, fascinating. And now we have, I think, 3 other games announced this year that are doing a similar thing, but different game categories.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting. Like it's not often you get a genre defining game, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's really not.
Well, what a great time for me to skip over my second one and announce that Rusty's Retirement is my number 1 game of the year. Because, I mean, it's for all the reasons y'all just said. I mean, I think that the fact that it is kind of the Stardew of its genre, like it started its like category and it has inspired other games. But it's just so like people have farming games and then they also have the like set it and forget it games that they might have up on a screen or something. And they were like, hear me out. What if both? And it's just on the bottom of your screen and you don't have to have it in like a separate window. They're just doing their thing. And the fact that you can have it on the side and wherever you want it. And yeah, so that's my number 1 personally. So
it's just so good.
While we're talking about it, I think I'm going to input Johnny's comments into this because it makes, I think I was going to leave all these till the end, but I feel like this one makes sense to talk about just now.
Yep.
So Johnny has said, while my favorite game of the year has been Micah and the Witch's Mountain, which we may talk about later, I firmly believe Rusty's Retirement should be game of the year. Cottagecore as a genre has largely stagnated the last few years as we've seen the tail end of the Stardew but X games being released and are now firmly stuck in the era of genre but with farming, where games are low on innovation and what appeals to any individual is simply based on how much they like the merged genre. This is why Mika and Luma Island are my personal favourites. I enjoy the puzzle exploration nature, but at their heart they are just fine cottagecore games. In this world, Rusty's Retirement has done something truly novel that has opened an amazing new design space for the genre we love. Cottagecore and farming at its heart utilizes time as a key mechanic. A partial screen overlay is an elegantly simple idea that provides the core cottagecore experience while enabling a game that progresses at a slower pace. While Rusty's Retirement hasn't had the widespread success of something like Stardew, we are already seeing new games being developed that are taking and evolving this concept. In a year full of games that have been fine, but with nothing that has really stood out, I would love for us to be on the right side of history and recognize a game that I believe will have a huge impact on the genre and consequently the harvest season for years to come.
Hear, hear.
Incredibly well said.
Yeah.
And I think very much empowers my feeling that it, I think Natsuman was kind of my wild card. It is my personal like favorite game of the year, but I think as far as this genre goes, for sure that I think Rusty's Retirement kind of takes the cake on it for me. But
okay, well that's mine. What's your second one, Al?
My number 2 is Echoes of the Plum Grove. I haven't put a humongous amount of time into this, but what I love about this game is how it, and I know this is a little tropey, but like cutesy face to it, but also you can die of dysentery. Like I love the balance there. I do have issues with how the game actually plays, which maybe I'll talk about in a future episode. We'll see if I can get anyone to go on a podcast about me. About it.
I mean, you said you die of dysentery, and I am intrigued. So count me in.
I love, and I also like because people talk about how much they enjoy in. What was the Harvest Moon game where you can play as your kid?
Wonderful Life.
Wonderful Life. Yes, that's what it's called. That concept of like you die and life moves on, and just because you aren't there anymore doesn't mean your farm isn't, and you can continue that, and you can play as continually going down the generations. I really love that idea, and I think it's been done pretty well in Echoes of the Plum Grove. And also just I really love the art style. It's kind of Paper Mario-esque thing I really like. And as Johnny talks about, like, oh yeah, this is just a genre of a game, but with farming, it actually feels like Echoes of the Plum Grove is trying to do farming game, but different.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
Cool.
Very
I have
cool.
not played, but we'll be on an episode with you then.
I
Careful,
also
I'm going
have
to write
not
it down,
played,
Codey.
Go for
but
it.
have added it to my wish list because I do really like the art style. I like how it looks, and I like the everything that you said has enticed me to want to try it, but
What
I haven't
what's the
touched it
console?
personally.
I played it on Steam, but I don't know if it's on any consoles. I think it might
Yeah, I
just be
was listed
Steam.
on Steam, but
It's on Windows and Mac though. So there you go.
Ooh. Well, if I get a Steam Deck for Christmas, then it won't matter.
Yeah, true.
Cool.
Yeah, so
that's
I
Micah,
know it's
exciting.
I know
It's a
it's not
great
going to win because I'm
console.
literally I think the only person who's mentioned it, but I
yeah, it's
think it's
a
up
little
there.
out of left field.
Yeah, I think did we maybe have one person mentioning it? Yeah, one person mentioned it as one of their top three, but didn't make an argument for it being game of the year.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
all right, Micah, your final game, your number one game of the year. Well, if that's how you've been doing it, I'm not sure.
Maybe this is, I think that this is maybe a little bit of wild card, but it's all of my nominations have been uh kind of things that take the genre and kind of flip it on its head a little bit or do something new with it. That's kind of what I looked at as like personal criteria for what makes something kind of game of the year for me as far as these games go, this genre goes. Um, so contrary to maybe popular belief, it is not Story of Seasons Pixel Crossing. Uh,
Oh,
I
I'm shocked.
played that game to completion, but was not necessarily a huge fan of it.
Oh,
But that's neither here nor there. My final nomination is Web Fishing,
oh,
uh,
Ah,
because it is such an interesting game. It's just I don't even know. I mean, you're fishing, right? Like that's the whole thing. It's kind of like if you took the art style of Animal Crossing and made it like low poly and it's just the fishing part of it, but you also added like chat room to it, like a it's just you just fish with people, and you can just fish with your friends, or you can just fish by yourself, or you can just fish with random people. But the whole concept is that like you just hang out, and I saw a video about how this is re bringing the like chat room game back to life, right? Like games like maybe Club Penguin or
hmm
the games in that style where it's like you can play games together and it's just you kind of like goof off and there's not really like a whole lot to do, but there is if you want to, but it's also just fun. Like it's just there to be fun. It's not there to have like high stakes or hyper specific things that you need to do. You can just catch weird fish, and there's a lot of like really good humor in the game. Um, and it's very cute too. So like, there have been a lot of instances where you know, people will join with because you can use a microphone or not. You can just, use text chat. You can disable mics entirely if you choose to. You can just kind of exist on your own if you want. And there have been so many instances where it's like, somebody kind of just waddles up to you and is like, "Do you need help doing this thing that you're trying to do, or do you need help figuring out how to do this thing? Are you new here, or whatever?" And then they just kind of bop around the little forest together, and they show you how to do things, or they'll give you stuff, or you like make friends just kind of sitting on the dock fishing, and it's just such a weird, unique game, and it I think gained a lot of popularity quickly because of that, because it's such a like different style of this kind of cozy but like connected kind of game.
hmm
And I think it's doing some really cool and interesting things, and I am excited to see what comes of it, because I know that because of the popularity that it garnered, that it's going to inspire some, new games similar to this, and I'm excited to see what happens with it. But yeah, web fishing is great. It's very fun and very weird.
So you might be a bit surprised by this. It's not on my list. I'm not going to say that. No.
Shocking.
But two other co-hosts have nominated web fishing.
Okay, all right.
So
now we're talking.
Both Kelly, who has been on several episodes this year, and Dalen, who I don't think has been in an episode this year, but was on an episode last year. Both of them nominated web fishing for their farming, their cottagecore game of the year. So you're not the only one. It's not on my list, and I'm guessing it's not on Codey's because I haven't heard Codey talk about it.
Well, yeah, no, it's not.
but I mean, based on our current voting, it is in second place just now, which is probably not what you were expecting coming into this, Micah.
It is not what I was expecting, but
that's what's so fun about this. Like with Rusty's retirement as my number one, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be coming out here being like, I like the little bottom of the screen game, like, and like before I had the chance to say all the wonderful things, like y'all said it, and I was like, oh wow, like I'm not a lone wolf in my appreciation for this game. So yeah, that's cool that other people have heard of and played web fishing.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. My number two, because I already said my number one, is Honey Grove, which is another mobile game. And it's this game where you're a little bee, couple of bees actually. You use resources to you collect resources by using these bees that have different tasks, and you have a little garden that you plant that has food products, but also just flowers, and you collect resources from the flowers, and you harvest the food, and you can cook, and you can craft, and it's just such a cute little game, and you can really put as much or as little time as you want into it. There are no ads, which is amazing. Honestly. And yeah, I really love this game. I've been playing it quite a bit, and I think it's one of the only games that I've played for the podcast that I'm not just gonna uninstall the moment like the podcast is over. Like the recording is over. So yeah, that's my number two. And I think that's kind of my wild card because we haven't talked about it a lot, so
we all gotta have a wild card.
Yep,
it looks really cute. I have not heard of this, but I do like the what I see of it, and what you described of it sounds like something that I would like. But
yeah,
it's not on my list.
No ads as
yeah, no ads.
I have been playing it because I don't need to keep the secret because it's already out by the time this episode comes out. Because I normally like to be really secretive about the episodes that are coming out because I don't want to promise anything, but it's already happened.
By the time this
we have done an episode. The last episode was on Honeygrove, and well, I don't want to spoil anything for Codey because we're recording it in 2 days. It's not on my list.
That's fine.
And we'll talk about that maybe why on Sunday. No, I think it's fun, and I love how it looks, and I think it is a good game. Mm-hmm. I suspect a lot of it is just it's not for me.
Yeah.
Which is just what happens. But yeah, no, I mean, in terms of mobile games, it is a better than most mobile games we have covered on the podcast.
Correct.
So
the bar is on the ground. So
well, exactly. Because most of them just tend to be like it's just township, but with different assets, right? And they do the exact same thing. This is
every 5 seconds. Here's some ads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so many ads.
This game does not have any, which is lovely. So.
Agreed.
Al, what's yours?
My final one is one I'm a little bit disappointed hasn't been mentioned by anyone before, but it's okay because other hosts have also nominated it. And that is Micah and the Witch's Mountain. This is absolutely I think my favorite game of the year, full stop. we talk about my non-farming game of the year in the greenhouse episode, but I think this beats it as well. It is such there's something about chibi games and the games that they do, right? Like Summer in Mara was the first game that I played of theirs, and it was just so fun and so happy. And it's like there are bad things that happen, but they're all just like things for you to overcome. They're never like actual bad things, right? Like in Summer in Mara, you get kidnapped by pirates, but that's just fine, right? Like because you then convince the pirates to help you, right? And then in this, it's like our plane crashes and bursts into flames, but that's fine because the person who was flying it got out in a in their parachute, and you can just go and find all the things that it dropped and go deliver them, right? Like the bad things happen, but that's okay. We can get over it, and I love that because I'm never that. That's not me. I'm not that kind of positive, but I love the idea of being that, and the particularly with Micah, the movement is just so fun. They do movement so well in their games, right? With Summer in Mara, the boat riding was just perfect. Like it was so good. And with Micah, the flying is just so fun. Like, and I was a little bit unsure of how it worked to start with because it didn't work exactly how I expected it to, the flying. But after like an hour or so of playing, I was totally in. And this idea of being able to fly around in a broom and deliver packages to people, and you've got a little fun story to go along with it. It's everything I wanted from that. And I didn't know I wanted it until they announced it. And then I was like, that's exactly what I want. And they released it. And I was like, yep, this was exactly what I wanted. And very rarely do you have that with a game where they announce it and you go, I need that. And then they release it and you go, that was exactly what I expected and exactly what I wanted from it. That is such a rare thing to happen. I love it so much.
Hal, have you yet played Wind Waker?
I haven't. No, I am waiting. I'm waiting for the switchboard.
Yeah, you might be waiting a little longer.
Look, it's coming. It's going to come eventually.
That's a long time waiting.
Year. Next year is coming. They've
It's a long time waiting for a ship. Don't come.
I'm so surprised. I'm so surprised it didn't come when they decided to delay the new console again. It's like, how are you still not releasing this game? Would you release it already?
Really weird circumstance too, because that was one of the times that we got like a leaked like store listing for it, like a reputable like Target, I think, released the store listing for it, like leaked the store listing, but it still never came out. So clearly it has existed to some degree.
Well, and the rumors are that it has been finished completely for 3 years now. And they're just waiting for the right time to release it.
Interesting.
And I'm like, what is the right time? What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Corporations are not don't have any incentives anymore,
But I ask because obviously for anybody who has played it or listened to the episode the Harvest Season episode about it, it very much plays like Wind Waker. And I did play it, not enough of it, not as much as I would have liked to play, but I played a good amount of Micah and the Witch's Mountain because, again, also a big Chibig fan, and I like the stuff that they make. The kind of like premise of this, that sort of Studio Ghibli-ification of this style of game is really cute. The the characters, the people that inhabit the island are very cool, very like unique, very cute. And the interactions are fun. The movement is great. I was very pleasantly surprised by how well the movement was in this game. How much they made it work from, kind of like the start of it being that you have like the lowest possible function on your flying broom, and then kind of goes up from there. But even at the lowest possible function, it still performs really well. So I also really, really liked it. I just didn't include it in my nominations because it didn't feel like, I guess, unique enough to me. As someone who has played Wind Waker, it does feel like it borrows a lot from it. Obviously, makes so much of it its own, and it's more kind of just in how it plays and how it what the overall general aesthetic is. But yeah, it's still really good. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think the other thing that it does really well is like the thing that all chibi games do well, which is their characters. Like
Hmm.
the stories aren't huge and overarching, but I always feel like I care about the characters.
Hmm.
And obviously it has a storyline about taking down a capitalist, which I'm always fun with. Um
Mhm.
collective action. Uh sorry, Micah, spoilers.
Now you're speaking my
Uh,
language.
um yeah. And yeah, you're right. It definitely does borrow a lot from what I've seen from Wind Waker.
Mhm.
I'm if I understand correctly, so did Summer and Mara. Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the
Primarily the boat. I think the sailing
yeah,
aspect of it.
exactly,
So yeah.
exactly. But yeah, what I love about this is yeah how they make it their own, and the characters are a huge part of that. And yeah, there's some crossover from previous ones, but it's not a huge. It's maybe like three characters crossover between the games.
Hmm.
Um, and so they still have loads of characters that are new, and I still really care about them. And yeah, you're right. The upgrading of brooms was done really well, and it could have ended up really badly, right? It could have just not been fun, but it the way that you upgrade felt really rewarding for playing the game and was a great way of expanding more of the island without having like unnecessary gates in your way. Like you can get around the whole island. There's just like high up places you can't get to until you get a better broom, which works really well. And yeah, I enjoyed the story. So
Another game that does that
Very
really
cool.
well is Little Kitty Big City.
I've already added it to my wish list. Come on. You don't have to convince me.
Yep. Cool.
All right. I guess at this point, I should probably point out that multiple people had Mika from the other co-hosts as well. So Johnny had it as one of his top three. Obviously, he wasn't arguing for it to win overall, but I'm counting anybody that's put the games in their top three. So that's Johnny and Kevin, and where was the other one? Was it just two? Just Johnny and Kevin put Mika. So Mika, we've got three. So I think I'm looking through the other hosts' options. Other that, so we've got Rusty's retirement has 4 votes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ignoring Spencer's vote for Rusty's retirement because he says Rusty's retirement because you told me so, which is not quite true. That's not what I said to him. Spencer actually voted for Animal Crossing Pocket Camp Complete,
Mm.
which, sure, fine. Uh, we also
I've got
have
feelings about that, but you know, we've already been at this for quite a while, so I won't.
Yeah.
I
we've
won't go on
also
that tangent.
yeah we've also got Luma Island. 1 vote for Luma Island. 1 vote for Pixel Cross Story of Seasons. 1 vote for Amber Isle. 1 vote for Girdlets. Oh no, 2 votes for Luma Island.
Yeah, 2 votes for Lima
Sorry,
Island.
Dalen voted for Luma Island as well. 1 vote for Echoes of the Plum Grove, 1 for Botany Manor, and interestingly, 1 for Infinity Nikki.
Okay.
so, so I'm going to read out what Dalen says about Infinity Nikki because yeah, I saw
Okay.
that and went, okay, interesting. So the whole thing that Dalen said was, I'm a big fan of completing tasks, so I think it's going to be Luma Island for me. That being said, I would give thought to Infinity Nikki because I think it's cottagecore E, and it's going to be a big deal. But it's also a gacha game, so that's a big demerit. I think it's pretty accessible though, and because it's a 3D game, I think it can maybe pull people into that style of playing who are not as familiar. Uh, it, Infinity Nikki came out this week, didn't it?
It came out very recently, and I,
5th of
I
December, last
haven't
week.
seen a lot about it besides some like trailers and some ads for
Oh
it.
my word, every second ad on TikTok for me is Infinity Nikki. Every
Yeah, and
second ad.
it's interesting because the way that it's being advertised, or the way that it initially was advertised, I don't know, gave me the feeling of like a kind of um what's a like PG way to say this?
Cosplay.
Sure. Yeah, like a cosplay heavy gotcha game with like anime girls in it, right?
Yeah.
But the more that so that was my initial reaction to it was like, okay, all right, I don't really, this isn't really for me. But the more that I've seen about it and heard about it, people are just describing it as that, like, as basically that it's like a kind of like a cozy open world game, which is interesting because that's not the impression that I got from a lot of the trailers or
Yeah.
ads. So I would be interested to try it. I just didn't get that impression, which is
Yeah.
very strange to me. But
I'm going to read the gameplay description on Wikipedia. Infinity Nikki features stylist duels where players select outfits based on attributes such as sweet, fresh, elegant, sexy, and cool to compete against opponents. Specific attire enables gliding or shrinking to access otherwise unreachable areas. It employs gacha elements, allowing players to acquire clothing items and accessories using in-game currency or microtransactions. The gacha system includes a pity mechanism guaranteeing a 5-star item after a predetermined number of dollars. What is this game?
yeah, it's so like baffling to me. And I think on that alone, I'm like interested to try it. And, like obviously I'm not opposed to like sex positivity or anything like that. I think it's just a lot of these games that are like gotcha anime girl heavy tend to feel a lot more like exploitative than they do
Yeah.
like, sex positive. So
Yeah,
I guess
they quite often skew younger, which can feel
right.
a little not great.
Yep.
Shall we
Yep.
say?
So if this really tones down the the like horniness of it, then I think maybe that is it. Like I'm more inclined to try it, but yeah, I don't know. It's just very strange that it gives the impression of one thing, but apparently is very much different. So
Yeah, is it? Yeah, I mean, it's an open world adventure game where you can explore based on powers that you get from competing in dress up competitions.
which like that sounds cool,
Weird.
like I absolutely loved like Fashion Dreamer and what was the DS one? Style Savvy. So if there's like some aspect of that that's like a like a fashion kind of like and a lot of the outfits that I've seen for it look cool, like they're very like kind of cute, stylish outfits and stuff. So that may be fun if that's an element to it. I just, I'm just maybe jaded by the like exploitative nature of what games like that this feels like have been like in the past. So
For sure.
we'll see, I guess. I don't know. Clearly it wasn't on anyone else's list, so
Yeah, it's obviously not winning. But it has. Well, this is one of the things I like about this episode is it always gives us something new to think about. Like it's normally Micah bringing that, but I feel like we'd already talked about Natsumon in previous episodes, not fully covering it, but at least talking about it. We knew about it. You didn't bring us something we hadn't heard of this year, Micah.
I'm happy that that's the case because otherwise I would probably extend the runtime even longer, I'm sure.
So yeah, I guess thank you, Dalen, for bringing up Infinity Nikki, and maybe we'll look into it. But yeah, it's that's a bizarre game. It really is.
It's on I think pretty much everything. Like it's on mobile and stuff too, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a gacha game. Of course, it's going to be on mobile. That's where people spend the money on gacha games, right?
Of course.
I know that Dalen loves gacha games. They are all over the gacha games.
And what is Pokemon Pocket if not a gacha game in the form of cards? So.
Sure, fine. If you're gonna go there, then yes. I was going to say, but I'm not suggesting it's game of the year, but I literally do that in the Greenhouse episode. So moving on. So I think we're down to 3 finalists, if I'm counting correctly. And that is Mika and the Witch's Mountain having 3 votes, Web Fishing also having 3 votes, and Rusty's Retirement having 4 votes.
Woo!
I think we know what that means.
So, I mean, so I'm just going to say this. I don't think we have a clear 100% Rusty's Retirement definitely wins this because it has one more vote than the other two. I think we need to at least discuss this. Although before this episode, I did predict that Rusty's Retirement would win.
Wow.
But
well, because you got to see everyone's thing.
I didn't look at your twos. I only looked at
you
the
saw
other
everyone
hosts'
else's.
opinions. Yeah, I did. But you two, like that was only 2 before you two started giving your suggestions. I would still argue that I think Mika should win personally. I'm not really sure what else I'm going to say other than what I said before, right? I think it is a fantastically fun game. I think it gives everything that it expected to. And I'm always going to, I was going to say I'm always going to love chibi games, but that's not true because I didn't like the puzzle one they did. Was it 2 years ago? Can't remember what it was called.
Ancora was I can't.
Yeah, Ancora Lost Days. Yeah, that one. Didn't like that one. But I've liked every other one in their games.
Yeah, and I've been a big fan of. Sorry, go ahead, Cody.
Oh, I was just gonna say. I mean, I didn't play either of these other 2 games. I think that web fishing is a game that wouldn't appeal to like all cottagecore fans. I think it's kind of a niche thing. So for me, it would be between either Rusty's Retirement or Mika. But I think that because Rusty's Retirement like has that innovative quality, I think it is still my top pick. But I can understand that Mika is like a phenomenal game. But it's not a tiny little robot retiring and making a garden at the bottom of my screen.
The cutest way possible.
He's living his dreams.
I'm so proud of him. I do think that I'm surprised that web fishing got 3 votes. I'll say that. I came into this fully expecting that it was gonna be kind of like maybe not because I had seen that it had gotten some level of like recognition. But I guess I wasn't expecting it to be in the top 3, I guess. So I am okay with striking that from the list. I think that you're right, Cody, in that it is maybe a little bit more niche. As someone who is not typically a fan of multiplayer games myself, I was a little bit apprehensive playing it, but once I got over that, the experiences that I've had in it have been so like fun and goofy and impossible to replicate in it, like other sessions and B any other game. But it does require kind of like getting over that hump of stepping into online socialization where maybe some people are just averse to that, and I totally understand that as someone who a lot of times feels that way too. So I think that is maybe a good enough case to maybe remove it from contention, in addition to the fact that neither of you had it on your list.
Yeah,
but I appreciate that it got where it did. So
top 3 is impressive. You know?
Yeah.
A lot of games were mentioned, a lot of games released. I haven't played it. I keep thinking about it because I'm intrigued by it. And like you say, I like the way it's kind of like bringing chat rooms back, right? Like that's such a weird thing to do, which I feel like is a theme this year. Is that's a weird thing to do with games, but I like it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's 2024 in a nutshell. Why are you doing that? Please do it more. But yeah, like I do. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with it being in the top 3. It would feel weird to make web fishing the cottagecore game of the year.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree.
Just
that
like,
being said,
purely from the fact that like I don't think we should have a game where you could have, slurs shouted at you.
Sure. Or someone just ruin it for you.
Yeah, I think that's another part of it. Like it just makes me think of being on those types of chat rooms and how you can be having a totally cozy conversation and then people could come in and just like spoil a book or spoil a TV show
I love how
or
that's what you're thinking spoil a book, and I'm thinking
And
shout the N word.
which, I'm sure, thankfully, in my experiences with it, I have not encountered
yeah.
that.
I'm not saying it
I
definitely
haven't
happens.
encountered any,
I'm
but
just saying
I'm sure
the
there is,
stress of that would make it not cottagecore for
Yes.
me. It's
Yeah.
not calm.
and that's why
Yeah.
that's why I say, I know that some people are averse to that, like, social interaction, online social interaction in that way, because
Oh, you didn't
there
have
is
to
that
put online just
possibility.
any social interaction.
Yeah, or just, at this point, just any social interaction, unfortunately. But I think that if that is a concern for you and it is a game that you're interested in, I would say, try to experience it with, because you can have private games too, right? Like you can just
Yeah.
play with just your friends. So, try experiencing it with just your friends. Maybe instead of like getting in a Discord group chat or something, you get in a web fishing group chat and you all just fish and talk about your day or something. But yeah, there is, I don't know what the filtering is like. I should have looked into that more, but I'm not sure what the filtering is like and things like that. As far as moderation goes for the game, I've heard that there is some like fairly decent levels of moderation with it, but I don't know for sure, and I don't know from experience if that's the case or not. So, but yeah, that's web fishing.
So what are your thoughts, Micah, on Mika versus Rusty?
I I have to go with Rusty's retirement, I think, for my number one. It's just, and I think because, I came into this saying that like my my personal criteria for this was games that have made a difference or like changed the genre in some way or done something new. And Rusty's retirement clearly has done that, has already started to define its own subgenre. And as much as I love Mika and as much as I love chibi games, which I do, it's not that it's, more of the same. It just doesn't feel like it is as like unique or groundbreaking as Rusty's retirement is. I can't imagine that there's going to be a lot of episodes of this where, you'll be talking about Mika and the Witch's Mountain clones, but I can see in a situation where you're talking a lot about Rusty's retirement clones. And I think that in its own right is a pretty big plus for it.
Yeah.
That's my personal thought. Sorry, Al. I know that that's
no, don't apologize. Look, I mean, I'm not going to be unhappy about Rusty's retirement winning, right? Like, it's not my game of the year, but I totally understand why it is Codey's game of the year and not Johnny's game of the year, but Johnny's opinion on what should be game of the year and Micah's second game of the year. Like, I totally understand why people love this game. It is not for me.
Sure.
But if I were only to let things win that were for me, it wouldn't be the harvest season game of the year. It would be my game of the year, which nobody wants that. Let's be honest, right? So I'm okay with it. Mika will always be my game of 2024. But I get Rusty's retirement, and I do agree completely with what Johnny is saying about Rusty being that genre-defining game, and it hasn't even taken that long because of how simple a concept it is, and how a small game like that can be built reasonably quickly, leading to so many other games. I'm not going to say copycats because I hate the term, because it's such
Clones.
it's a term that's even worse. It's a term that's just filled with such ignorance of how art happens that just makes me hate it so much.
It really removes the element of like inspiration from it, I think.
Exactly.
Really
and like the idea that if you were to create something completely unique, like, come on, everything's based on something. It's such a stupid idea, and it's so ignorant to call it a clone or whatever. But we'll call them Rusty likes, right?
Which
I
is
love that.
very funny because there is an entire genre of games called Rust likes, which are games that are very similar to the game Rust. So
amazing.
There you go.
And I love the idea that you know, so a single developer can release this crazy idea they have, and then suddenly it's a whole new genre and people are doing it. And like to an extent that happened with Stardew, but that was still very much based on Harvest Moon. And yes, this was clearly based on Stardew and other things, but it's different enough that it feels completely new, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
And
And I love that idea.
it's not even the first time that there has been something like this kind of like background PC existing on your desktop kind of thing, that it is just the most fleshed out version of it and the most like, modern version of it. I very distinctly remember, back in like Windows 98 days or whatever. I'm just, aging myself, but uh like old PC, when there wasn't a whole lot that you had to work with, there were little like widgets and stuff that you could install. Even like on older Macs too, they had widgets that would be like a little thing. Maybe it's like a little Tamagotchi or something that exists. So this is just a much more involved version of it and a much more developed and polished version of it that has opened up people's eyes to like, oh yeah, this is something that people really like, or just like there's something, I don't know, innate about like having something running, especially in this day and age where, you need that constant input of stimulation. So you got, your work on the top screen, and underneath it you've got Rusty's retirement going.
Yeah.
So
and I think it's also been successful, right? Like if you look on Steam, it has 10,000 reviews, which I have no idea how many people leave a review, but it's a fraction of the people that play a game, right? Have either of you ever left a review on Steam?
I think maybe like once or twice.
Yeah. Maybe.
Very, very rare.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's just not a thing that people do. And to give you a concept, Disney Dreamlight Valley, right? An incredibly popular game, has 17,000.
Jeez. Yeah.
Not even double Rusty's retirement.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't give us an idea on how many sales either of them have. But
right.
that is and that is overwhelmingly positive. 10,000 reviews. Like it's got a SteamDB rating of 94%. Like Disney Dreamlight Valley has 89%. So like people love this game.
Also time too, like how long has Rusty's retirement been out versus how long, something like Disney did. Well, so the fact that it acquired or accrued that many positive reviews in that time frame is wild.
In fact, looking at the SteamDB stats, it looks like Rusty's retirement currently has more people playing it than Disney Dreamlight Valley does.
Well, yeah, you can kind of just like let it run in the background, but yes, I completely understand.
Cool.
It's great. I love it. I'm a big fan of Rusty and everything that he's done for us in his previous life as a robot.
Yep.
He earned his retirement.
Yep. I look forward to my Rusty days.
I have moved to that, to kind of speak to what you said, Al. I've moved to that, instead of going into focus mode, there are now just times where I'll just boot it up and just play it and then close it when I'm done playing it, rather than like let it run in the background. Not all the time, but sometimes I'm just like, I just want to focus on playing Rusty right now.
I would love to see how it works on a Steam Deck.
That's a great question. I would love to too, actually.
Yeah, I've got no more other thoughts other than that. Just like, how is it? that's all. Let me see if it's got a rating. It has playable on the compatibility.
Oh, no way.
So entering some text requires manual input on the on-screen keyboard. That's a pretty standard one for games. And some in-game text is small and may be difficult to read. All functionality is accessible when using the default controller configuration, and the default graphic configuration performs well on Steam Deck. So
interesting. Okay.
Looks very playable.
Cool.
Obviously removes kind of half of the point of it.
Yeah. I want them to port it in a way where if I'm playing with my Steam Deck, I can dock my Steam Deck and watch a movie and have Rusty in the bottom.
That's a great idea.
I mean, you could do that, right? There's nothing stopping you doing that, because if you dock your Steam Deck, you can then just open the Windows mode or the desktop mode, and then
Mhm.
open up whatever you want to stream and just have it playing there. Pretty sure that would be easily possible.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's like you would have to do it as like a screen extension rather than like mirroring when you
No, I
dock
don't
Mhm.
it,
think
you
you.
know?
Oh, do you mean have Rusty on the deck
Yes, I think that's
and
what you were saying, right, Cody?
but the streaming on the screen?
Like
Well, I
having
mean,
Rusty on the deck while it's docked and then doing something else on your actual like
oh no, I meant like you're watching, like I'm watching Lord of the Rings, and while the riders of Rohan are riding into Minas Tirith, like Rusty's on the bottom, like farming of my TV screen.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
No, I
I
think.
see, I see.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I
Yeah,
thought
that'd
you
be
meant.
great.
I'm pretty sure that would be possible.
That's
From
what I
Yeah,
want
that
for
may
my
actually be possible through the like Windows mode. Yeah, that's
cool.
funny. Or Linux mode, I guess, but
Yeah, it's called desktop mode, but yeah, I accidentally said Windows initially. I don't know why. Don't know why.
Well, like window, because you're in, 'cause it's a window.
That's probably why I thought about it. Yeah, but then I
Yeah.
realized that was a silly thing to say, so change what I was saying.
Cool. Yay, Rusty's retirement.
yay.
Woo!
Ooh.
Congratulations to Rusty's retirement for winning. You are in a unique group of 6 games that have won this award.
Mm-hmm.
The fun thing about Rusty's retirement winning is that I suspect that Rusty's winner, with Rusty's developer, will respond to this because the big ones never do. So, yeah,
That'd be fun.
we shall
That'd be
see.
cool. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's everything for this episode. Micah, where can people find you on the internet?
Uh, Mostly I think Blue Sky at this point. It's been, as everybody has kind of like had the mass exodus from Twitter, I think it's that's kind of where I've landed, which is at micahthebrave.bsky.social. Always a mouthful. But
Just
I'm
search
pretty
Micah
much
the Brave.
just
It'll be there, right? Like I love how they've done this. Like we're federated, but we're not really federated because it doesn't really work. But we still have the negative of federation that you have to have your domain, even though everyone's domain is the same just now.
Yeah. But I am at Micah the Brave pretty much anywhere you can find me. I've been doing a little bit of Twitch as I've been, shiny hunting, but a lot more casually, I guess. So just wherever you want to find me, I guess.
I feel like you're missing something, Micah.
What am I missing?
Your new podcast.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't want to I don't want to advertise on my
Why
No,
not?
please,
I asked
do
you
it.
to. I asked you where people can find you. Now tell them.
Yeah, I do have a podcast with one of my friends and coworkers, Kiefer. It's called The Soft Reset, and it's a shiny hunting podcast.
Ooh.
Well, we shiny hunt, so we talk about Pokemon or shiny hunting stuff, and we shiny hunt while we're talking about it. So it's primarily a video podcast, but we do have an audio podcast for it too. It's very, very casual. It's not, like it's kind of just a fun thing that we do when we have the time to do it. Not super serious. There's only 2 episodes so far. We have the 3rd episode filmed. We just have not had the time to finish the editing process for it because it is including a guest, which has changed the video format from 2 people to 3 people. So it's made it a little bit harder to figure out. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. You can find it on Spotify primarily right now. Yeah, we're also on Twitter, unfortunately, for the time being, and Blue Sky. If you just search The Soft Reset Pod at bsky.social or at The Soft Reset Pod on Twitter. So
I do love that you say 2 episodes. You also in the 2nd episode said it was the 3rd episode because there was that secret.
There was technically
a secret third thing.
Yeah, we did a first episode. We did and felt that maybe we should try again. So
It'd be that way.
Yeah, so maybe someday eventually, but
you can't get it out of your head, which is why in the 2nd episode you said it's the 3rd episode, and I was like, wait, did I miss an episode? Oh wait, no, you were just meaning the episode that you talked about that you never released.
Technically,
nice and confusing. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Hey, no problem. That's what I'm here for. Happy to help.
but I'm enjoying listening to it. It's good.
Awesome.
And I don't think every podcast needs to be weekly or whatever.
Yep.
Like I think just do what
Yeah.
you want to do.
Yeah, we kind of planned for like bi-weekly is what we were going for. And it's still kind of what we're shooting for. It's just over the holidays and work for both of us because we work together has picked up quite a bit. So we, haven't had as much time to get through this little bit more of a behemoth of a third episode. So after that, probably more back to the bi-weekly, but I don't want to promise anything. It's casual. We're having fun,
That's all good.
That's all that really matters. So
The fun about a podcast that isn't weekly is like you just get a new episode. That's fun. I wasn't expecting that.
yeah.
There's only a few podcasts I listen to like that, and it's I wouldn't want every podcast like that. I like most of my podcasts to be regular, so I know that they're going to come every day or they're every week or whatever. But having a few that just pop up every so often is a fun little surprise.
I will preface this with, or leave the disclaimer that it is a little bit more crude humor on the soft reset than maybe I'm usually like contributing. So just mostly because of my co-host got pretty crude sense of humor. So just a lot of butt jokes. So prepare for that, I guess, if you're not.
First of all, I love the name. That's an amazing name. And second of all, is that a Pokemon TCG in your pocket? I love that. That's all I'm going to say.
Great. Then we did it. That's it's already a success.
Yeah, there you go.
Codey, where can people find you on the internet?
Sleeping.
Sleeping.
Just I want to go to bed. It's nearly 11. Would you hurry up already?
I think I'm on Blue Sky. So just my name, Codey Mathis. I dox myself all the time. My name has an E in it. And hiking. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Hiking Beagle, Beagle, like the bees, on Instagram.
How could you miss the pun out of your name? That's shocking.
Well, because it didn't start out as a pun, and then I think it was Kevin that was like, "Oh my gosh, like bee," and I was like, "Yes, I should do that." So yeah, that's where I'm at.
You can find me at the Scottbot on primarily Mastodon.Scott, but I'm also on Blue Sky and some other stuff somewhere. But
sweet.
I think I'm cross-posting to Mastodon and Blue Sky now, so you'll get it on there. I don't do anything on Threads or Twitter anymore.
Yeah.
But they exist. They're there if you want to follow me, but I don't do anything there. You can find the podcast at THS Pod on Tumblr and also Blue Sky and maybe some others soon. We'll see. You can send us feedback. Tell us what your game of the year was.
And why it was Rusty's retirement.
And why you disagree with us. You can find that feedback form on our website, harvestseason.club, or you can, what's the Blue Sky posting? It's some stupid name.
We're just saying posting. It used to be skeeting. I don't like that.
Oh my word.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that either.
That's terrible. Why would you do that?
I mean, they kind of adopted that on Twitter too, and just started calling it Zeeting, but with an X.
Nobody said that. Literally, nobody has ever said that. Though that's the thing. Like people will have said skeeting, but not a single person has ever non-ironically referred to posting on X as jeeting. Nobody has ever done that.
You're absolutely right. I would argue that most people don't even call it X. So.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't use it. I wouldn't say X. It just only made sense in the context of talking about that stupid word.
Yep.
You can post at us on Blue Sky with that if you want. Or you can be like the single person that goes through and likes every single one of our Tumblr posts. Thank you. I appreciate you. Or you can comment on Spotify. That's a thing. Thank you to Jack. Just double check.
A mystery.
Thank you to Jack for your comments as well. We responded to Jack's comment about Fields of Mystery and then did an episode on it. You've asked us to cover We Harvest Shadows. Probably not. We'll see. I don't know. It looks scary.
I don't know about that.
It's a horror survival farming game.
Interesting.
Whoa.
That sounds kind of interesting.
Okay, maybe somebody will cover it. I don't think I'm. I don't
Micah,
think
let's
I'm
do
gonna.
it.
Yeah,
I
maybe
don't
Cody
think-
and I will cover.
Yeah, feel free. I'll write it down. I don't think I want to because I did Pumpkin Panic and that one scared me enough, and that wasn't even realistic. So I don't think so. But if you two want to do it, feel free. Maybe we will, Jack. Tune in, find out. If you also want to comment on Spotify like Jack, you can do that, and I will read them eventually when Spotify notifies me about them. But it takes ages to do that. You can also find links to everything related to the podcast on our website, harvestseason.club, where you can find a link to our Patreon, patreon.com/thspod, where you can get access to our Slack community where we talk about these things. I have been posting to the Slack while we've been recording this podcast. Shocking. You can go there and find some fun stuff. Like how I found out that the new next Stardew concert that I'm going to in Glasgow in February of 2026 will be just 2 weeks before the 10th anniversary of Stardew Valley. And wow, that's wild.
That's pretty wild. 10 years.
I know, 10 years. I also posted a theory about something related to that, which I'm not going to talk about here because that's special for the patrons. You can also get access to our Greenhouse episodes, our bonus podcasts. We have one coming out on Saturday, which is our non-cottagecore game of the year. And we have a lot of games that we mention, and no game is mentioned twice. So
That's
come
true.
listen to that.
Mm-hmm.
Find out what our games of the non-cottagecore year are. Why am I so bad with the name of these podcasts?
Not a cottagecore game, but that game of the year.
What was the term that Kevin came up with? Neighborvania?
Oh, I don't even. He didn't come up with it, but he brought the video to our attention, and I hate him for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't imagine I'm ever gonna say the term Neighborvania ever again.
It's so stupid.
However, we will be saying
funny.
We will be saying Rusty like for everything going forward.
Absolutely.
Yep. Fine. That's a good Rusty like. I think that's everything. Great. Perfect. I can't keep this going for another 3 minutes to make it the longest episode ever. Sad for that. But there we are. Thank you for listening, listeners.
Yay.
Thank you, Micah, for joining me. Thank you, Cody, for joining me.
Woo!
Always a pleasure.
And until next time, have a good
harvest.
The Harvest Season is created by Al McKinley, with support from our patrons, including our pro farmers, Kevin, Stuart, and Elisa. Our art is done by Micah the Brave, and our music is done by Nick Burgess. Feel free to visit our website, harvestseason.club, for show notes and links to things we discussed in this episode.
Close, after 3 hours or whatever. Close enough.
We did it, Reddit.
I think you'll find it's actually 4 hours since we started.
Oh my God, you're right.
It is. Yikes. I can't feel my feet. The room I'm in has no heat and it is 28 degrees outside.
I'm freezing right now too.
I should have grabbed a heater.
2 today. I don't know what we're at now, but it was almost below 0.
You win, I'm at 28. So.
Oh, you're talking about Fahrenheit as well. What is that?
Yes, yeah.
See, that is -16. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Yeah, it's getting cold.